I'm getting some criticism in recent months for saying Nick Foytu sometimes could be a goon while also is an effective enforcer. Now, I mean, that's the role. Now, to some, this guy was a goon. To some, he was a dedicated enforcer. To some Toronto Maple Leafs fans, trading for him from LA basically went against what happened when he had a bad incident with Tiger Williams a few years before he showed up in Toronto. But for a lot of fans of hockey, this guy lasted in the NHL and had a few seasons in WHA as one of the toughest defensemen in NHL history. I basically believe that, the book needs to be written, or a book needs to be written, about players like him that had a role to play, and they have to decide for themselves if the guy was meant again to be an enforcer or a goon or a combination of both. Now, Dave Hutchison, 6'3", 205. Ladies and gentlemen, on skates, again, he looks 6'6", about 220. Was drafted 36 overall by the Kings in the 1972 NHL draft, and that draft was loaded, ladies and gentlemen. Came through the London hockey system, born in London, played for the Junior B team there, and played for London of the OHA in 1970 as well. That year with London, the OHA had 30 minutes in penalties in 7 games with 1 goal, 2 assists. Now, 71, 15 points in 54 games, including 2 goals, 154 minutes of penalties. And the 72 season, his draft year, 3 goals, 11 assists for 14 points in 151 games. Now, there was some rumor going around that the WHA was interested in him. According to published reports, and some say yes, some say no, he was drafted by Miami, the prospective Miami Screaming Eagles team for the WHA, but ended up with in the Blazer system with Philadelphia. Now, he decided to stay in what they call the WHA system for the 73 and 74 seasons. He played with the Roanoke Valley Rebels in 73 in the minors, the EHL. Played with the Rhode Island Eagles for 30 games. We had a big 25 points, including 7 goals and 156 minutes and penalties, but finally made the Blazers with 2 assists in 28 games and played in the playoffs for them in their first playoff run. Now, in 1974, in 69 games, he had 13 assists and 151 minutes and penalties. Now, here's where it gets quite interesting. Now, a certain player went to him and he said, listen, have you ever considered making a jump to the NHL? Dan Maloney was a junior teammate of him years ago, and he convinced Dave to leave WHA and enter the NHL with his draft team, LA in 74. Dan was playing there as well. Now, he became a cause célèbre in LA and Toronto again because he was suspended for the last 3 games of the 75 Stanley Cup playoffs and the first 5 games of the 76 season as a result of a wicked stick fight with Tiger Williams in the 75 Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, there could be a YouTube tape of it, but like I said, it was kind of because Toronto, the media was really on goon hockey, and to a lot of people, that was a goon hockey move. 8 games will do that. Now, he was very effective in LA over several seasons. He had trouble scoring, but when he did, he scored in bunches. He had 6 assists in the 75 season in 68 games, 133 minutes and penalties. 76, 10 assists in 50 games, 181 minutes and penalties. Then scored his first goals ever in his career in the 1977 season with 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points with 220 minutes and penalties. LA had a good playoff run in 77. He had 5 points in 9 games, including 1 goal. Now, in 78, his last season in LA, he had 10 assists in 44 games, but the injury bugs were starting to catch up with him. Now, he missed part of the 76 season with a sprained ankle, but even because of this, he set an LA record since broken with 181 minutes and penalties in that campaign. Now, another big injury. He broke his jaw in Buffalo on January 1st, 76, but continued to play with the jaw wired shut, and as he drank his meals through a straw. Now, again, he scored his first NHL goal in the 77 season on October 7, 76 against Atlanta. Now, He eventually became LA's all-time penalty minutes leader when he left the team on June 14th, 78. That record has since been broken. Now, the big deal, of course. LA traded Hutchinson and Lawrence Stambler to Toronto in exchange for Brian Glennie, Kurt Walker, Scott Garland, and Toronto's 79 second-round pick, which turned out to be Mark Hardy. Good selection for LA on June 14, 78. So it was a 4-for-2 deal. Toronto was looking for protection. They had got to the semifinals in the 78 campaign. They felt maybe a little bit more spunk on the team. 79, they lost to Montreal in the quarterfinals, but it really didn't play too much a factor in their 1970s possible path to a Stanley Cup, additional Stanley Cup Final Four or Stanley Cup berth. Now, 78 season, he came to Toronto with damaged goods. He had a severely lacerated hand that year, a Charlie horse, and a broken left foot. Now, injuries tended to plague him into the early 80s as he missed part of the 81 season with a broken finger, suffering a game at Colorado on February 14, 81. Now, the offensive side of his ledger is not really talked too much, but when he arrived in Toronto, 79 season, he was plus 36, despite 235 minutes in penalties. 19 points that year, including 4 goals, and 3 points in 6 playoff games. Now, in 1980, he found himself out of Toronto, in Chicago, in a combined season that year. He had 69 games, 12 points, including 1 goal. But the penalty minutes were definitely down. 81, still on the good defensive side of the ledger. He was plus 12 that year. That 79 season with Toronto, like I said, plus 36. For a defenseman to only get 19 points and be at plus 36, he's doing something right. Now, 82, his last season in Chicago, he found himself with 5 goals, 18 assists for 23 points with 246 minutes and penalties. So his role as an enforcer was going up and down as the years are going on. Now, 83, he found himself with the expansion, not expansion, but the New Jersey Devils had moved from Colorado to the state with 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points in 102 games, but this is where it didn't really reflect how good he was. He was minus 20 that year. Now, he's back in Toronto in 84 for his swan song, 3 assists in 47 games, and 137 minutes and penalties. Now, he won numerous awards in LA. He was the LA's outstanding rookie in 75, NHL rookie, not WHA combined. Well, it didn't count. LA penalty minutes leader 76 with 181, and playoffs penalty minutes leader 76 with 29. Again, he played on the first New Jersey Devils team, which draws a lot of interest because is the only other player other than Ken Danico to wear the team's vaunted number 3. Now, he was traded to Washington by Chicago on August 12, 82, but never played for the Capitals because he was claimed by New Jersey in the 82 waiver draft. And again, was slated to wear number 22 of the Capitals before being traded. Now, after retirement, a very cerebral guy for figures, he went into the real estate business in native London and worked as a Remax sales representative in Dorchester, Ontario. He also became a very active member of the Toronto Maple Leafs alumni charity team after his retirement, and he could be seen at locations across Canada. So what really stood out for a lot of people when I was growing up, of course, Dave had great hair, but the fact is he was tough. But that Tiger Williams situation, Tiger Williams was not too well liked by a lot of people in the NHL, especially Montreal Canadiens fans. And that incident, obviously, it's unfortunate where 2 players go at it like that, but there should be no stick swinging in hockey. Now, various people have talked about his career in books over the years, talking about his toughness. If you can track those books down, he's sort of like the lost enforcer for a lot of people. We all know him in Canada, but in the States, for some reason, playing in LA, he's kind of forgotten because he wasn't there for the glory years of the later on in the 70s and 80s. But in Toronto, again, to have that fight with Tiger Williams, and basically, it's one that I think Glennie was getting old. and he wasn't going to fight. But giving up Kurt Walker and Scott Garland, they were trying them out a little bit. You should have maybe kept one of them and sent another prospect over. But my God, Hutchinson on a Saturday night. You know, Toronto needed Dave Hutchinson years before for protection for Settler and Thompson and everybody else. But having Maloney in Toronto as well, I think that there was some connection that when he got the Maloney man in Toronto, we knew we were going to try to make a trade for Hutchinson. Because, you know, close friends play together. That's just how it goes. But for me, like I said, was he a goon or enforcer? If you think he was an enforcer, let me know. If you think he was a goon, let me know. Because the old question, Nick Foytchew. If Nick Foytchew was a goon certain nights and enforcer other nights, he's still a goon or enforcer. There's, you know, I mean, Montreal Canadiens fans, we saw what Foytchew did in Game 5 against Montreal for Calgary. His stupid penalties basically helped us solidify that fourth and deciding game. But in New York, you can't make fun of Nick Foytchew because you say, oh, he wasn't a goon. You wouldn't believe how much flack I'm getting over that. Well, if he's not a goon, he's an enforcer, but another word for enforcer is goon. And there's a movie called Goon. You know, come on. It is what it is. Certain players are goons and certain players are protectors, or what do you want to call it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget, hockey is in the eye of the viewer, as we say. Some people like to make their own assumptions on certain players, but if you haven't talked to the players that played it, you know, you really shouldn't comment. I've talked to a lot of former NHLers, AHLers, and you say about players like Hutchinson, again, what do you consider an enforcer? If you consider an enforcer a goon or goon an enforcer, it's your personal choice. Thanks for listening. Bye.